Hello and welcome to Moonlighters. This is a new visual novel by Project Newmoon, who previously finished A Fall from Grace and was also working on a spin-off visual novel for A Fall from Grace called... Actually, I don't remember what it's called, but it's about the Masquerade Bandits, and it's going to dive into, I believe, their past. But yeah, this one, as you can tell, is set in a modern world. It's actually set in British Columbia, which is Canada. Well, it's in Canada, I mean. It revolves around this character right here that you see at the bottom, who apparently has a special ability that allows him to see ghosts or something like that. And that's pretty much all that I know about it. I don't really know much more than that, unfortunately, but I do, and then this is the beginning, the first build, so there really isn't much more than what I'm telling you right now, because again, this is literally just the beginning. So yeah, I suppose without further ado, let us begin Moonlighters. My heart hurt. Not in a way that was unhealthy, though with how I'd been treating my body lately, that wouldn't be a surprise, but in a way that was overwhelmed with grief. It settled there, filling the space where love once was. In the absence of him, it was all that existed. It was a hole in myself and who I was, a piece of the puzzle lost in the world. It was 1,000 different fucking metaphors to say that I was in a lot of emotional pain, and no proper way to deal with it. Hello? I couldn't escape it. It constantly lived in my head, finding ways to trap my thoughts in a loop of endless sadness, dragging myself further into it. Distracting myself only helped for so long. Nothing that I loved brought me the same sense of joy anymore. Everything found new ways to remind me of him. I was stuck in this cycle, with no way, will, or motivation to get out of it. Excuse me? I was hoping that I'd get some kind of fresh start moving here, as if an unfamiliar place with fresh faces and a new job could fix me somehow. Yet another lie that I told myself. I couldn't outrun something that lived within myself. There was no secret way to escape it. Instead, I was stuck living with it, each day a torment until I saw him again on the other side. So I just kept pretending that everything was fine, and forced my way forward without the love of my life, but my side. Dane? With a hand on my shoulder, I was snapped out of my latest spiral, back to reality. A Lilith otter stood in front of me, trying to place an order for who knows how long, while I had just stared into the void. Sorry about that, sir, but welcome to Hendrix. What can I get you started for? As the usual script of customer service took over, I gave Juniper a thumbs up below the counter as thanks. Thank God the Vol was on a shift with me today instead of Riker. The last thing that I needed right now was the bat tearing me a new one for spacing out on the job. Again. We'll call you when it's ready and have a wonderful evening. I breathed a sigh of relief and stepped back from the counter to make the order. With my years of barista experience, my body pretty much set itself to autopilot at that point. I could have probably owned my own coffee shop by then, if not for the fact that I didn't have the money or knowledge on how to run a business. I'd over-exaggerated to myself the lack of interest that I kept in my old pastimes, because when I got the chance to make coffee, it calmed me. Maybe it was a repetitive nature, or my expertise earning me praise, or that I had a passion for being a barista even before I had met him. Whatever the reason, after the otter had taken his first sip and smiled, I felt the depression sink a little further away, knowing that I had made his day just a bit better. The positivity that I had once felt in moments like these had dulled over the last year and left me feeling like I had become an imposter. But when I was here, it was the closest that I'd felt to being normal. Hey Dane, you okay after earlier? Aside from when I dissociated, that is. Yeah, June, I'm fine. Just got lost in my own head for a bit. Must have been pretty intense. Never seen you do that at the register before. Yeah, well... My words drifted off into silence between us, as the excuse never came. I won't push it, but you got my ear if you need it. I sighed, giving her a nod. I know. And you owe me one. The vole beamed at me. What for? For taking care of like 90% of the closing shit. I hadn't even processed until she pointed it out to me that the whole lobby had gone through its closing metamorphosis. What? But it's not even... The old grandfather clock by the front door chimed, perfectly signaling the start of the next hour. 7 o'clock, otherwise known as... closing time. Fuck, I really was out of it. Told ya. Why didn't you shake me out of it sooner? I could have helped. With the bags under your eyes looking somehow worse lately, I figured that you deserved a sort of power nap. I instinctively reached to touch under my eyes, as though I could somehow feel a difference there. Insomnia is a cruel mistress, and I'm her bitch. Juniper let out a sudden laugh, making me cringe in embarrassment. I said that out loud, didn't I? Crystal clear. I didn't even know that you were into that kind of stuff. She wiped a tear from her eye, letting out a long, calming breath. Look, I'll handle the rest of the things here and you head home early. We'll count it as part of you owing me one. Thanks, June. I'll see you tomorrow. Wouldn't be a shift without me. Try and get some sleep tonight, Dane, no matter what your mistress says. I flipped her off as I grabbed my leather jacket from the back. With everything that I needed, I headed towards the front door. Oh, hold on a second. The vole scribbled something down and I stopped, running around the counter to catch up to me. Take this. She handed me an old receipt, an address written on the book. If you can't fall asleep again tonight, try stopping by there. I'll be out late with some friends and I can introduce you guys. I try not to let my expression show the anxiety rising up in me as I pocketed the note. I'll keep it in mind. And with that, I walked out of the front door and into the street, a lit cigarette on my lips that began the lonely walk home. August 14th, 1985. The door to my apartment hung open as I stood on the threshold silently, working up the courage to spend another night here alone. The empty home waiting for me at the end of each day was one of the most painful aspects of it all. He wasn't waiting here for me anymore. With a deep breath, I turned on the light and stepped forward into the... I chose to call it minimalist, decorated apartment that I'd been living in. I slid off my shoes and set the keys and six-pack that I'd picked up on my way home on the counter and went to close the blinds. It was still around an hour until sunset, but I couldn't stand to see the hotspots of activity that came to life after sunset. I felt them call to me, a voice whispering for me to reach out and touch them. It was almost out of my control. But I couldn't do that. I didn't need to help solve the problems of others when I could barely deal with the ones in my head. I stripped down to my bare necessities and flicked the TV on, changing it to whatever bullshit family channel was playing the typical evening comedies. The extra noise drowned out the thoughts. It made being in my head easier. So began my nightly routine as I stepped into the kitchen, ready to cook dinner with the help of Chef Mikey. I browsed the contents of my freezer before setting on the eeny meeny miny mo method to decide on the frozen meal of the day. As I popped it into the microwave, I could hear the thoughts beginning to rise up again. You used to cook for the both of you every night. You even cooked before you met him. And now, a meal made with no love, mass-produced and made for the perfect, lonely, lazy man. No wonder you'd let yourself go. You can't even make your own food. The ding of the microwave broke me out of my spiral. I sighed, removed the plastic dish from the microwave, and brought it over to the recliner. I reached over to the counter and pulled a lukewarm can of beer from the cardboard casing. Alcohol never numbed the pain, but it did help me sleep sometimes. I took whatever help that I could get, whatever I could do to get a few more hours of sleep. The time ticked by as the sun set, my mind zoning out as I drank and watched the TV. At some point, I grabbed a bag of chips from the stash that I had next to the chair and started munching away. When the clock on the wall finally hit 10:30, I brushed the crumbs off my lap and onto the floor. They mingled with the discarded detritus that covered the carpet. All the crumbled cans and empty bags had gotten to be a bit much when combined with the dirty socks and underwear laid about. I'd have to clean again soon. I didn't want roaches in my apartment that I've only been in for 2 months. I yawned and stretched, getting a whiff of myself in the process. I'd need a shower in the morning too. I entered the bedroom. I flopped onto my unmade mattress that lay out on the floor. I wrapped a blanket around myself as if the thin cloth could protect me from my feelings. My eyes adjusted to the dark quickly, but I squeezed them shut before they had the chance to adapt. After a long day at work, a week of barely sleeping, and copious amounts of depressing thoughts, I finally had the chance to sleep. Please. God fucking damn it. A quick glance at the clock showed that it was 2 in the morning already. Even with how exhausted I was, I knew my body too well. Sleep wasn't in the cards at the moment. I sighed, knowing what I'd have to do to get a few hours of sleep again. My chest already ached at the thought of going through all my memories again. Slowly I got myself redressed, sliding on my red leather jacket instead of my work flannel, grabbed my keys and headed out into the night. I was used to the walk at this point, having done it nearly every night now. I knew which streets to take to avoid the most moonbeams, but still get to the unit in a decent amount of time. The streets of Luminae were more peaceful than the clustered big cities that I was used to. They were mostly empty, save for a single terrier that I'd often spotted roaming the streets late at night like I was. It was quiet enough that I could hear the bugs chirping and the distant sound of waves lapping on the beach being carried on by the wind. It was hard to believe that it was August already. Time had blurred by this year. It was a mess of emotions and pain. There was so much of this town that I had yet to see. I couldn't muster the energy or the willpower to go out exploring. One day, before I knew it, I was at the storage building, making my way between the units. There weren't many, just enough for the few in town that needed the extra space. Or ones like me, those that wanted to forget but couldn't let go. I pulled out my keys and thumbed to the right one as I approached the unit, 312. Anxiety washed over me. But it wasn't enough to stop me. I unlocked the unit, raised the shutter, and pulled on a string hanging from the ceiling. The overhead light clicked to life, bathing the small space in flickering fluorescent light. Boxes and furniture from our old life together greeted me. A thin layer of dust covered all surfaces but one. I took a moment to breathe deeply, careful to avoid the tears that I could feel coming on. Exposure therapy lately was the only thing that helped me feel a bit rested. If not, got me to sleep. In the center of the room was a plain mannequin, his leather jacket placed delicately on it, looking the same as the last day that he wore it. Oh, Bo. I gently ran my fingers across it, imagining him still wearing it, his warmth, his beating heart underneath as he wrapped me in his embrace. His hand in mine, walking down the street before he pulled me into a sweet kiss. The wind blowing through our fur on his motorcycle, feeling like just being together put us on top of the world. When he died, I fell to the center of it. I reached into the pocket, pulling out the last Polaroid photo that I had of him. He took it himself, a gift to me with the camera so that he could immortalize our best moments whenever they came. My birthday gift, and the last thing that I would ever receive from the love of my life. And rather than use it, I left it here to collect dust, rather than cherish it, all because of the memories associated with it. The guilt ate away at me constantly. It was like I was burying his existence with his body, letting all the aspects and memories of him rot away in the darkness, never to be seen again. Only coming to light in the middle of the night as I visit him, like some sort of guilty pleasure, a torrid affair that I had in my past. I didn't know how much time passed as I stood there, stewing in my emotions. I finally shook it off, decided that I needed to do something about all of this. The camera sat neatly at the top of the first box that I opened, as if it was mocking me waiting so long to get my ship together. I picked it up, my hands shaking as I put the strap around my neck. It was his last gift to me, and I intended to hold onto it dearly, to remember his love. I couldn't process everything that I felt that moment, nor how I had been feeling, but it felt as if I had took the first steps towards healing. Even though I told myself this, I wasn't completely convinced that it was progress. When I took the camera home, it would be taking a piece of my old life back that I could cherish and could help me sleep better. It would be an excuse to ignore everything else that had been a part of our life together, a way that would make it easier to ignore our past. A failed attempt to fix what was broken that would only leave me worse than when I started, when I was in my next spiral. The negative thoughts like these would often win over the positive ones whenever I made a decision as minuscule as this. But in this instance, I let the positive ones dominate. I believed that I was making the right choice for the right reasons. With a sigh, I closed the box and locked the unit, sealing my memories back up for safekeeping. I stared down at the hanging camera, wiping some dust off the lens with my shirt. I'd wanted one for so long that by the time that I finally got one, it coincided with the worst moment of my life. Walking through the streets, I fiddled with the machine in my hands. Something akin to excitement was building up in my chest. I was ready to finally have an opportunity to use it. Narrowly avoiding a moonbeam, I took a look at my surroundings. The same terrier that I had passed earlier was down the road again. He was sitting cross-legged on a bench, his eyes closed like he was meditating or fast asleep. I pulled the cap off the lens and raised the camera to my eye. I closed the other, focusing on the dog on the bench. He wasn't there. The bench was empty, but the surroundings remained the same. I blinked and lowered the camera. The terrier was there once more, still sitting silently. What the? I took a step back on instinct, as if the flight or fight aspect of my psyche was kicking in, forgetting what was behind me. In an instant, the world around me vanished. Pure darkness surrounded me, as if I'd stepped into a cave. My whole being felt lighter, as if my existence in this space was ephemeral, an afterthought. My senses instantly calmed, that feeling of panic vanishing like an extinguished candle. My body had been craving this for longer than I'd rather admit. I denied it for so long. The ground rippled beneath my feet as I took a few extra steps backwards, the memories beginning to emerge as reality rippled around me. A young woman stepped out of the darkness, the trail of a wedding dress pooling around her. Her veil sagged as rain from above soaked it. She was in her mid-20s, porcelain face furrier than normal. A peccary, maybe. Tears round down her cheeks as she stared into space. a second figure began to form. A cholo in a tuxedo, umbrella clutched in his ringless hand, a look of disdain on his face, annoyance, not pity. Fear began to rise in my chest as my emotions began to connect with her. There was sadness there too, betrayal tearing at her heart. Did you really think things would be like a fairy tale between us? I thought you loved me. I do. Hope rose in our chest. But I love what you can be more. You have so many flaws right now, but they can be fixed. It's shattered. I can help you become the best version of yourself, the one that will always be worthy of my love. All you need to do is listen to me and my advice. The sneer on his face forced us to look away. It's our wedding day, and look how pathetic you're being, on the ground, crying in your wedding dress. Why would I be proud to marry someone like that? He crouched, cupping our face in his hand. There was a gentleness to it, contrasting the sting of an earlier slap. Why not start with a smile? You're always prettier with one. Our lips twitched, stuck between craving a sensation of validation and the shock of seeing the true colors of the man that we loved. Our cravings won. He smiled back, and a flicker of happiness grew in our heart. See, was that so hard? You'll grow to be lovable yet. The cholo stood back up, extending his hairless arm to the woman, as my consciousness began to disconnect from hers. Now let's go home. But not before the fear that she feels at those words hit me. She took his hand and her lips didn't move as her wish rang out into the space between us. The pair began to vanish into the shadows. I wish that I'd never married him. I was pulled back into reality, stumbling backwards with a gasp of air. I fell flat on my ass, narrowly avoiding landing on my tail. I expected my heart to race, to feel everything swell into a panic attack. I hadn't used my abilities in so long, but the strain never came. I remained calm. It was strange. It was like a part of me had healed. Access to the stranger's memories filled me with warmth, despite the negative circumstances. The moonbeam faded slightly, the unresolved memory having finally been seen by someone. That memory must have been what the warmth was, the acknowledgement of someone's truth finally being brought to life by someone that could help. Except that I had no idea who that woman was, or how I could help her, even if I'd wanted to. I had my own issues to deal with. I'd stopped doing this after Bo had died for that exact reason. I flinched. The heat and comfort faded as I bluntly acknowledged what happened. Slowly the ache returned. Whoa, dude. You alright? I looked over my shoulder. The terrier had climbed down from the bench and approached me. Huh? Oh, yeah, I'm fine. Don't worry about it. I brushed the gravel off my pants as I stood back up. Sorry if I scared you out of meditation or whatever. When I glanced back at him, his eyes were wide with shock. You heard me? I blinked. Yeah. You were talking to me, right? His face shifted into a wide smile. I was talking to you and you heard me, and you responded? The terrier started laughing gleefully at this. Right, that's normally what happens. You can see me? The dog was clearly out of it. That's right, well, I'm gonna get going now. Before you stab me. Wait, no, please don't. It's been so long since I talked to anyone. He sprinted around me, putting his hands up and urging me to wait. Shit, I'm being rude. I'm Silas. Who are you? I mean, what's your name? I wasn't getting out of this interaction easily, it seemed. I'm Dane, I guess. Dane. Now that's a name that I can easily remember. My first friend, Dane. I didn't know what drugs he was on, but it was clearly too many. He put his hands in his pockets, walking backwards in front of me in the same direction through the park shortcut that I'd taken earlier. You don't know how totally awesome it is to speak to someone. I can't remember how long it's been. I want to know all about you, man. Your favorite color, favorite food, favorite cloud shape. Oh, do you smoke weed? What's it like? I think that I used to, but I can't remember the feeling well anymore. Just a sensation that I did like it. He was so focused on asking me all these questions without letting me answer, he didn't even notice the hedge coming up behind him. Hey man, watch. Silas continued walking backwards and disappeared into the hedge, the leaves remaining still as if he hadn't even touched them. Out. Then, as if nothing happened, Silence walked back through them. Sorry, I get a bit caught up in myself sometimes and I forget to pay attention. Where were we? What just happened? Why was he so completely unfazed while walking through the wall? Noticing the confusion on my face, he tilted his head. What's wrong? My hand drifted upwards to the camera around my neck, remembering what happened earlier. Are you lost? I could get a better view for you. Without waiting, the dog was suddenly floating in the air, trying to get a better view of the park paths. Stop. He stayed floating in the air, looking down at me. I raised my camera and peered at him through it, except only open night air was where he should have been. My mind raced as I stared at the man before me, who defied everything that I knew about the world. What are you? Hey there. Thank you so much for reading the demo to Moonlighters, a game by Project Newmoon. This was meant to serve as a brief teaser for the game to come, and help give readers a general vibe of the story and what to expect. Build 1 is planned to be released after the final of A Fall from Grace, so keep an eye out on the news of that. This novel is written by me, Mash, and illustrated and scored by me, Alex. This story came to me, as all my ideas have, randomly and out of nowhere. It started off with a simple enough concept of seeing memories in the moonlight. From there, Mash texted me his idea, and we bounced ideas off of each other until we ended up with a fully fleshed out story that we have now. I wanted to try my hand at making a story that was more emotional and dark than my normal writing, and the result is something that I couldn't be prouder of. We decided to then give the game some more unique styles to help add to the aesthetic that we're going for of an 80s slice of life story. Part of the vibe that I've aimed for is to treat the game like a single season TV show made decades ago that got cancelled, but has since turned into a cult classic. A special thanks to Eon for being the proofreader and editor of the story. My writing would be nowhere near as good without him. And a massive thanks to Radar, the one who coded the whole build as his first VN project. He's a local friend of mine who expressed an interest into getting back into coding, and I couldn't exactly pass up the opportunity to see his unique vision added to the game. Many of the little details like effects, character movements, and CG timing are all fully designed by him. Lastly, a massive thank you to those in our Discord and our moderators of it, Okami, Butter, Gary, and Thunger. If you enjoyed this visual novel, follow us on our personal or official Newmoon socials, as well as our itch page. These are all the fastest way to get update news, but also consider joining our Discord for that too. If you like what you've read, consider supporting us on Patreon. You'll get access to build early as well as sketches, scripts, songs, and other bonuses. We also have a monthly bonus art, where you can vote on 2 characters in a monthly poll to get drawn into a themed scene by Alex. Thank you all, and we hope to see you again at the end of our next release. Woo. Okay, so that was the, I guess you could say, teaser for Moonlighters. Oh, that's doing the intro part again. I actually recognize the otter Eon from way back when I was in Twitter. But yeah. So, like I said, teaser, and as you can see, he has he has his Moonlighter ability, because that's what it's called, where if he's hit by the moonlight in specific places, he can see sort of like echoes of the past. And I guess as he described it, it's sort of like hearing the woes, maybe thoughts, feelings of those that have departed in specific locations, or like that they left specific feelings or whatever in specific locations, as I'm understanding it, because of course the story hasn't progressed far enough to know what they actually are. So that's what I'm choosing to understand it as. But apparently, he has decided to not really, do this anymore after he lost his partner. And I can kind of see that he probably has decided to also avoid going to the spot where he probably lost his partner, or wherever the emotions were strongest for his partner, in order to not exactly to let go of them yet. So I'm assuming that's why he doesn't really want to do this. And this is one of the few times or in a long time that he accidentally did it by stepping into the moonlight when he got scared by the fact that there was a ghost in front of him now. I'm assuming that the ghost is sort of like a hippie, the terrier. I believe that they are going to be sticking around him for a while. I don't really know more than that, unfortunately, because again, this is just sort of like the teaser build. But as I said, A Fall from Grace already finished. They already released the final build. They still need to release the quality of life build, I guess you could call it. But the final build is already out, so I'm assuming that the first chapter of Moonlighters is going to eventually release. Or it's going to release soon, I mean. So if you're interested, there is that. I will probably continue reading it because this is an interesting concept. And as they said, that this is going to be a little bit of a dark story. I don't know what exactly they mean, but I'm looking forward to it either way. But yeah, I like the concept. I will continue reading it probably. So what are your thoughts? Write it down in the comments, and thank you all for watching / listening. If you would like to play Moonlighters or stay up to date with any of their other visual novels, you can do so by going down to the link in the description, which have a direct link for the itch.io page where you can download and play the game yourself. They do have a Patreon in case you want to support their projects, and that, as I said, that you get earlier access to builds of their visual novels, the behind-the-scenes stuff, the works in progresses, the music, and etc., the other stuff that they're offering. And if you would like to support the channel, consider becoming a channel member, which gives you earlier access to these videos as they're being scheduled. And, it's a nice little way to support me and say, hey, I like your videos, here's money on a monthly basis. And I go, hey, thank you. Here are the videos that I have scheduled. You get to watch them sooner. As of right now, this is being recorded on April 11th, and there's already a lot of stuff. There's already the Roads Yet Travel things that was already recorded, and the channel members get to watch it sooner. And it's not going to come out until May. I think the first week of May, second weekish May. I don't know. This will come out in May, but it's being recorded in April, so I just have some other stuff that I have ready to record to 2 visual novels that I found, although I think one of them I'm going to have to wait to record it because I think that they're going to do some also quality of life, because I think that they already finished it technically, but they realized that there are some pacing issues, so they're going to fix that a little first. So I'm going to wait until that one is done, but I still have 2 other visual novels that I already have ready to, read, and yeah. So yeah, there's plenty of stuff for me. And also, my birthday's coming up. Whoa! By the time that you're reading or seeing this for the public, whatever. You know what I mean. Anyways, so I guess that's it for now, and I will see you guys in the next part. Or next video, whatever. You know what I mean. Bye.